Hey guys, so we're back. This is right after we left off in the previous video, which was how to get desktop effects working and to stop fallback mode. And this video today will be all about getting your web browsing environment set up and configured correctly. That will include getting Java running, Flash, and even Silverlight, and the ability to watch Netflix on Linux in Firefox. So, the first thing you'll notice when you try to browse the web in Debian is that the Firefox web browser is strangely absent. Now, if you're interested in Chromium or Chrome or any other browser for Linux, this tutorial, you still watch it, I mean, if you want, because there may be some tips that might be applicable to you, though a lot of this is going to be about Firefox and centered around Firefox because that is my personal browser of choice. And I'm not trying to push that particular browser to the market or anything. I'm not, I don't care if you guys use it or not, but it happens to be the one that I know and like the best. So it's what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing you need to know is Iceweasel is kind of like Firefox. It basically is Firefox. It's just rebranded, and it's also a couple of versions behind, as you can tell. This is not what the normal Firefox web browser looks like anymore. So this is, let's see, this is based on, I think, 24. Firefox version 24, and Firefox today is up to 30. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to get actual, real Firefox on Debian. And we're going to do that using the Iceweasel browser. So if you have not already, go ahead and launch your Iceweasel browser. And we're going to go to firefox.com. And that should bring us to this lovely page where you will click Download Firefox. And at this point, you're just going to save it. And it should come down as a tar.bz2. And if you're running... if it asks anything about different versions of Linux or what version of Linux, if it says something about x64 or x86, make sure that you are choosing the correct one for your platform. You can tell by launching a terminal. Actually, let me do this not in the terminal on my machine, but in the terminal on this machine. If we go to Applications here, and I think it's Accessories, and then Terminal. So here, if you do uname like that, and then -r, it will return your kernel version. And you can see here that mine is AMD64 at the end, which means I am running a 64-bit kernel. So if yours says 386 or 686, you're running an x86 kernel or a 32-bit kernel, and you should download the 32-bit Firefox. Here I think it's automatically detected the correct one, so we're just going to save it. And while that's going on, we're going to go ahead and pull up our terminal again, which I think I closed prematurely there, but that's okay. We can live with that. Okay, so at this point, we're just going to do sudo and then nano, and we're going to go to etc apt and then sources with an s .list, and if all goes well, you should see some entries. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to enable the contribution and the non-free repositories in order to get Flash working. So at the end of every single line, you're just going to append contri contrib and non-free, and you can just do that to all of them, and non-free. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to pull from more repository, or from the larger spectrum of repository that will give you the packages that are not just the free ones that were made by Debian, but it will give you the contribution repository and the non-free repository as well. And that is where some additional stuff that you're going to want will reside. Now, if you're bent on running just free packages and that's what you're wanting to do specifically, then you should ignore that part, and you'll probably have a lacking system, because there are certain things that just aren't really available to those of you who want completely free and open software. So One of the beautiful things about Debian is you get a choice, and so we're taking that choice now. And sudo apt-get update, and we'll just let that update our packages, our installable packages database there, based on our new repository selections. And so we should now have access to some additional stuff. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the Iceweasel web browser, having seen that our Firefox tar.bz2 is completely downloaded, which is a good thing there. So we're going to go ahead and close down the Firefox web browser, or the Iceweasel web browser, because we don't need it anymore, and we can do sudo apt-get remove Iceweasel, and we can do a -- purge. It would help if I didn't transpose the letter there. I don't know what it is, but every time I go to make a video, for some reason, I just can't type for anything. At this point, what you should do is, let's go ahead and extract our tar file. So we're going to change directory into our downloads folder, like I just did here. And as you can see with my ls command, my Firefox 30.0tar.bz2 is waiting there for me to extract. So what I'm going to do is just run sudo and then tar and then x, v, f, and j, which is what you use for bzip2 files, and then do Firefox, and that should autocomplete. And then if you do a C, -C, and then give it a directory. In this case, we're going to send this thing to opt, which is generally where you want to install things that are what I call, or what most people call, side-loaded. Basically, if you have programs that you're installing outside of the norm, you know, you're not using your repository in order to install them the way we would normally, you know, do, then you place those packages in opt. And what this does is it gives you a great way for you to know exactly where those packages are, so they're segregated from your system. Packages that are not maintained by your package manager, I normally don't like those to reside in the same place as the packages that are actually maintained by your package manager. And this just prevents things like your package manager from overwriting stuff, or, you know, weird things from happening. It also lets you find these files easier because you know exactly where they're at, you know, and they're all sort of contained in this one location. So if you ever want to get rid of the program, it's as simple as just deleting that particular directory that you've extracted into opt. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and this should not take very long. If you're getting a bunch of errors or weird cannot writes, remember to use sudo or use su and become root. Now, the rule on that generally is use sudo. Try to avoid using su to become root. That's dangerous. So yeah, you want to use sudo where appropriate. Unless you absolutely have to use su, use sudo. So at this point, we should have our Firefox browser, and it should be ready to launch. So if we cd into opt, and then ls, you'll see the Firefox folder. If we cd again into the Firefox folder, you'll see the Firefox files. And if we do a /Firefox, you'll see that Firefox does in fact launch. And it will say that it's not currently my default browser. I'm going to go ahead and tell it yes to make it my default browser, and everything should be good at this point. I can then begin customizing it, you know, doing what I normally like to do, whatever. Get rid of the search bar, because who the frick uses a search bar anyway? I don't even know why that's still there. And yeah, that sort of stuff. So at this point we have our Firefox browser, but if we go into add-ons and look down here at plugins, you'll notice that there's not a whole lot. I mean, we have GNOME Shell integration, that's kind of lovely, and we have you know, iTunes application detector, which I assume is some sort of plugin that came with Debian's default desktop environment. Now, since this is not normally the way that I install the Debian default desktop environment, I don't normally use that. I usually build mine from scratch using just the terminal. You know, so that means I don't get these little plugins here by default. So whatever these are, I don't really use them. So what you'll notice is that the browser should not actually be in our menu at the moment. So I will show you how to get it in the menu. I'm not sure if I'm sure GNOME probably does have a menu editor of some kind somewhere. I'm just not sure where it is or how to use it. So yeah, we're going to use it. We're going to set it up the old-fashioned way, or the good way, the way that I prefer to do it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cd, and we're going to cd into user, USR, share, and then applications. This is one of the places that yeah, should be applications like that. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay, now you'll notice there's a whole bunch of desktop files. Now these are basically all the files that make your little shortcut icons work in your menu. That's what they are. So at this point, we're going to make a new one for Firefox. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file. So we're just going to do sudo nano, and we're just going to do firefox.desktop, like so. And then in here, we're going to add the following. We're going to open with this little bracket thing, and do desktop. Okay, so, and then we're just going to do entry, like so, and then we're going to end the bracket. That, and we're going to do version equals 30.x. That's fine, doesn't matter, it's kind of arbitrary, you know. And we're going to do encoding, that, UTF-8, and then name. Okay, this is the one that's more important. This is how it's going to appear in your menu. And the comment will basically be what your tooltip. So we're just going to put web browser. And then the exec command, short for execute, or executable, I guess in this case, will be opt Firefox, like that. And then the icon will be whatever icon that you download for Firefox. So we'll actually work on giving it an icon at a later date because I don't have one yet. So I'll show you how you can get an icon. So we're going to do type, and that's going to be application. And then we're going to do categories. So categories. Okay, and we're going to put network, and what that controls, but you don't need that, and you're just going to save it. Now what the categories will actually control is where in your applications folder it will actually appear. So actually I think in this case it's internet, but it looks like it worked out well anyway. So if I click on this Firefox icon here, it's going to launch Firefox now. So you can see it's already working, which is great. Works out well for us. So it actually put it in internet, even though it clearly said network. So yeah, I guess it's designed to map the two. And we can remove this guy because from our favorites over here, because that was the old Iceweasel browser, and we can just drag and drop this guy over here into our favorites, and that will give us our Firefox browser there. Now to get a proper icon for it, you can go to whatever your favorite search engine is. It doesn't really matter. I'm using Bing because I tend to like their image search pretty decently. And just type in Firefox icon. And then in here, just pick whatever icon you want. That one looks pretty cool. The big thing is you want it to be a PNG file. It doesn't really matter how big it is. You can always edit it down with a GIMP if you really care, but it needs to be a PNG. That's important. PNG file. That's important. So you're going to do save image as, and just save it basically wherever you want. It doesn't really matter where you put it. I'll stick it in pictures. Actually, for now we'll stick it in pictures, but eventually I'll move it to a different area on the system so that it will be more persistent. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is put this just rename it to Firefox.png, just so it's easier to know the name of the file. And we're just going to save it in pictures. That's fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sudo, or we're going to do cd from our terminal shell again, which I'll go ahead and get rid of the Firefox browser for the moment. This is why I don't like GNOME. Minimize. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to cd into, we'll go to user, share, and then icons. Okay. Now if we ls, you'll see that there's a couple of themes. What I tend to like to do is to make a new folder in here, so just mk or sudo mkdir and just call it custom. That doesn't really matter, but it's something you can identify. You'll see our new folder in there and do custom, okay, just like that. And you'll see that's blank, and we're just going to mv. And tilde, remember, is the shortcut for our home directory, and don't forget to sudo, of course. So sudo mv tilde and then slash, and then pictures, and then firefox.png. And then if you simply put a dot at the end, so after the firefox.png, just space and then dot. Dot is a quick command, or like a quick sort of shortcut to the current directory. So anytime you see a dot, just specify it all by itself. It normally means the current directory. So what this is saying is it's going to move the pictures, the firefox.png file located in the home folder and then subfoldered in the pictures directory. We're going to move that file into the current directory, which is user share icons custom. And when we do that, we should be able to ls, and we'll see our firefox.png there. So now what we can do is we can take this little line here, and we'll just copy it, like so. And then we'll cd into user, or usr, and then share, and applications. And then we'll do sudo nano, and then firefox.desktop. We'll come down here to our icon specifier, and we'll say that that is going to be pasted there. We'll add a slash and do firefox.png. This should now point to our current firefox.png image we just set up, and now we should see our lovely little icon, which we do. We should also see it when we go into our applications, and when we go into the internet, we'll see it there as well. So now we have our cool little icon. You can get whatever one you want. I definitely recommend one with square dimensions, and obviously the higher resolutions will look clearer, but once you get to a certain point for an icon, you really don't need a super high resolution, because they are just icons. But you can feel that out yourself. It's really not that big of a deal. So that gives us the Firefox web browser complete with icon. And now we have basically what appears to be a good old Firefox installation. Now if ever you get a new Firefox, you need to install it. Let's say Firefox releases 3.31.1 or whatever, you would do the same procedure. You download it from firefox.com, go to your downloads directory, use tar with the -c command, tar xvfj Firefox 30-30.1 or whatever, and then the -c command, and then opt, and just make sure you put sudo in front so that it extracts on top, and then from there you can just relaunch your Firefox web browser, and it'll scan for updates for your plugins, and just basically work just like an update, just overriding what needs to be overridden. We'll move on to installing the Flash plugin, and then I'll show you how to move these things into the folder they need to go in manually. So what we're going to do is sudo apt-get install Flash plugin non-free. That's the one we want. So let's just install Flash plugin non-free like so. And we should get that exactly. I'm going to go ahead and close this down. We don't need that open. And we're going to reopen it and see if that one has picked up our Flash installation automatically. Yeah, so we have the Flash installed. Okay, so what we're going to do about Java, go to java.com. And we're going to go free Java download. We're going to grab Linux. Make sure you grab the one for your platform. In our case, it's x64. tar.jz. Say file. Let that come down. Now the cool thing about this is you get the absolute latest version, which is not always the case in the Debian repositories. A lot of times you get older software. So this will give you the newest of the new, which this is on update 60. The one in the and the Debian repository right now is 5.5. So you have to stay on top of keeping it up to date yourself, I guess, but it's nicer because you get the newest one. But we can go to our, yep, so there's our Linux Java right there. So if we go open up a terminal. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to cd to user lib jvm for Java. And then here, once we've downloaded our Java runtime environment, now all you have to do is copy or move, preferably, the folder that you used for Java or that you downloaded and untarred using the tar command here. So what we can do is we'll actually go here and we'll cd into the directory that we have our Java runtime environment at. And probably the easiest thing to do now is do downloads. Okay, and now if we do, yeah, JRE, so if we do tar, JRE, and then just use, or actually it's XVF and then Z, and then JRE. And that should give us -C, and that should let us untar this. So if we come over here to our second terminal window that we opened up, we can grab this and just copy it and then paste it. And this will extract our Java runtime environment, except we did not say sudo. So if you do Control-C, you can stop a command from running in the terminal. So that's what I did there, just Control-C. And now if I do sudo, you'll see that it is no longer giving me the permission denied. So now if I do this and I ls, you'll see that I have a new Java runtime environment in here, which is, let's see, right here, JRE 1.7.0 underscore 60. That's the new one that we just put in there. So let's cd into it, JRE, and then we'll go into, actually it might be plugin. Actually, let's see if we can find the little file we need in here. I think it's under, I think it's actually under lib, if I'm not mistaken. And then AMD 64, yeah. And then we should actually probably be right in here, lib. There it is. This is the one we're looking for. That's the file we need. So what we're going to do is we're gonna change directory into user and then share. I think it's share. Maybe it's not share. It might be not share. It might be lib, but user lib. Yeah, I think it's user lib actually. And then Mozilla and then plugins right here, right? Okay, so this is what we need. All right, we need to get this file here in here, but we don't actually want to move the file. What we want to do is we want to link it in here so that it is available, but it's still in its original location as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the symlink. We're going to create a symlink by using the ln command and then -s for symlink, and then we're going to type the directory path to the file we want linked to, which is going to be this right here. Everything before the $sign there. So just copy that. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Paste. And then we're going to add our file name that we want. So we'll just grab our file here. We can just right-click it and copy it and paste it. That file is libnpjp2.so. So now, if we just strike the enter key, we get permission denied. So we'll add sudo to the frontier. And we'll hit enter again. We should now have that file in here. Now, if we close our browser, close tabs, and reopen our browser, and we go to our plugins, you'll now see that we have Java, Shockwave, and this I looked it up is actually from Rhythmbox. And then this, of course, is GNOME shell integration, which you can actually see that here, live shell browser plugin.so and the Rhythmbox item detection plugin.so. Those are the same thing. And if you're ever curious about where these symlinks all point, you can do ls-al, and that will show everything in a list. And you'll see right here, flashmozilla.so is pointing to Etsy alternatives /Mozilla.so, and live npjp2.so is pointing here. So that's where that is. Okay, so now that we have those plugins working, let's get our Shockwave working with our Netflix. So, the first step we're going to take in our mission of getting Netflix working is we're going to install some prerequisites in order to get this all sort of going. So, let's begin. I think we want to first grab a repository and then grab our prerequisites, but the absolute first thing we want to do is we're going to need, if we're not on an x86 system, if we're on an x64, so a 64-bit system, we're going to need to do some additional steps, which I'll cover first. If we're on a 32-bit system, then you can ignore these steps and proceed right to getting the repository and then grabbing the prerequisites. Okay, so for a 64-bit system, you're going to want to add an architecture. So we're going to do sudo dpkg -add -architecture, architecture, and then i386. Because wine, unfortunately, is a part of what we're going to need for this, is a 32-bit application. It doesn't have 64-bit support. So that's it. If everything went well, you won't get any output or feedback. You'll just get a new prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and cd back to the home directory because we don't really need to be anywhere else right now, just to clear it up and make it easier for you to read. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to grab our release key. So I'll post this information in the description. But this is if you're going to use Wheezy. If you're going to use Jessie, which is the version up, then it will be a different key. For now, you can use Wheezy. When we switch to Jessie, I'll show you how to switch the release key. This command is wget and a URL to the release key. And what this will do is it will prevent apt from complaining about not having an authorized or having an unauthorized or unverified repository. So you're just going to do that, and if everything goes well, you should be fine. Note that this key will download to the directory in which you are currently in. So if you're in your home directory, that's where it's going to go. So if I ls, I should see release.key in here now, which I do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use sudo apt-key add release.key. So, and that will add it to our apt package manager so that it knows that this repository we're about to add is okay. Release.key, actually. Release.key. There it is. Okay. And it will say okay if everything went well. If it gives you an error, you'll well, then everything didn't go well and you should try again. So now we're going to add a line to our sources.list file to add what's called Pipelight. And Pipelight is basically Silverlight through Wine, and it emulates it via a plugin. So just the plugin is basically talking through Wine. So you can use this on any stock Linux browser. You don't have to have special browsers set up or any kind of weirdness going on. Okay, so what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to add this repository line. So we're just going to cd, or actually let's just sudo nano right into it. Etsy apt sources .list. There we go. And what I like to do for this is come down and just enter down a line and put a hash and just put a comment for what it is, just a dash and maybe a comment about what it is. We're just going to call this Pipelight. And remember, there are different repositories for this if you're going to do the Jessie or the Wheezy. So the first one we're initially going to do the Wheezy repository, but I'll post both Jessie and Wheezy stuff in here. Paste. Except I don't think, yeah, that did work. Okay. So I'll go ahead and blow this up so you can see the whole thing. That's what the repository looks like. So yeah. So once you're done, just Control X and then Y and then enter. Remember that if it complains about permissions, it's because you did not use the sudo command. Now do sudo apt-get update. Okay, and that should run through. Now you just want to do sudo. Actually, let's look at the package we have now. Cache, apt cache. Apt cache is a way of searching packages. We're going to search. Or actually, we're going to need to search for I know what the name of the packages are. So we're just going to do show and then pipe light dash multi Let's see why it's not auto-completing. Pipelight multi. There we go. Okay, so what this is allows the use of Windows NAPI plug NPAPI plugins through Wine. Pipelight allows. Okay, so this is the package we want to install. So we're just going to change this to sudo --get install Pipelight multi. But we're also going to need Wine, so we're going to go ahead and do that as well. Wine. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to let this run and come back when it's done. Okay, so that should have taken quite a while because it will have to have built a lot of i386 or 32-bit dependencies in order to work. So hopefully everything has gone well and you've gotten a bunch of all done, no errors messages, which would be really, really nice. So at this point, there are a few more things you need to do before this will work. The first thing you need to do is type in the command pipelight plugin --update -- enable Silverlight, just like so. If you do it correct, you should get this little EULA kind of thing for Microsoft software. Just hit the Y key and that will accept the agreement, and you should be able to run your plugin. So now at this point, let's go ahead and minimize that back down, or restore it back down to size. We're going to go ahead and close our browser one final time, and we're going to open it back up. And this should force it to reinitialize its plugin. If we've done everything correct, we should see it start this creating wine prefix please wait box here, and it'll take a little bit for it to do it, but it should work. You should download the Wine Silverlight plugin, run a little installer. If it doesn't happen right away, just go up to your little menu and click plugins like I did, and it should start the process. But I think it actually is supposed to start right away. Anyhow, so this should run through its deal, and I'll go ahead and pause the video until it's done. Okay, and we're back. So you should see now Silverlight plugin. So there is one final step that we need to do before Netflix will actually work, and this is because if I go to Netflix, it's going to give me an error stating that my browser is running in Linux, and because Netflix is, well, really, really stupid and it just differentiates bluntly like that without, you know, saying, well, can it actually run or not? It just says, oh, you're running in Linux. Well, we're gonna give you an error and not show you the page. So what we need to do is trick Netflix into believing we're running a Windows system, and that's fairly easy to do. There's an add-on that we can grab for that, for just that cause, and that add-on is User Agent Quick Switch. So just type in up here in the search, User Agent Quick Switch. And we should get in our search list User Agent Quick Switch. I'll just install that guy. And what I tend to like to do is throw this little User Agent Quick Switch text over here on the left side of the URL bar. And it should put this little icon up here. Now, what you're going to need to do is click this icon. And actually, I think you got to right-click it. Yeah, there it is. So when you right-click it, you'll get this user agent string box that you can put your user agent string into. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the string that I use for that. And that string is as follows. There we go. This is the string. I will post this in the description, so don't fret if you can't see it right here. Just look in the description. I'm going to go ahead and scroll up through it a couple of times so you can get a good look at it. But yeah, so that's the user agent string, and I will put that in the description. So just click save. Now, when this icon is blue, you are surfing with a Linux browser. When you click it, it should turn yellow like that. That means you are surfing with a Linux-based browser. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is pause the video. I'm going to go to Netflix, and then I'm going to enter my account and show you that something actually does play in this thing. Okay, so you can now see that Netflix is, this is the Netflix website. You can see it working there. And we're just going to tell this thing to play an Archer video real quick here. We'll click resume, and it should, in theory, load up. Let's activate Silverlight here and tell it to allow now and remember. with any luck. Make sure my volume is at a respectable level right now. And you can see that Netflix seems to be working. Still loading though. I'll let you get a good view of it actually functioning correctly and moving around and stuff after the loading period. So there you go. You can see that Netflix is indeed working correctly as I stated. And yeah, so that's Archer. Archer's awesome. If you're not watching Archer, watch Archer. So there you have it. About 9 seconds of an Archer clip. I don't want to post too much of that, otherwise, you know, I don't want this video getting flagged or anything. But yeah, so just to show you that Netflix does indeed work, there you go. In Linux, just fine. So there you have it. That's my Firefox tutorial on Debian and how to get it all running very smoothly and everything. So if you guys need any other help with that, want any other questions answered, or whatever regarding Firefox or the complete tutorial on Firefox here, then please let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer your questions in an additional video in the future. I think my next video is going to be about applications and tools, additional other applications and tools that you can install. I think I'll touch on Vi and Vim, ZSH, and some network monitoring tools and stuff like that. You know, different applications that will make your Linux life a little bit easier. And then after that, I'll probably get into security, or maybe actually I think I might switch that up. I think I might do the security video first, because now that I've gotten your browser set up, I need to show you how to secure everything and get it all locked down so that you don't, you know, so that you're secure and your data is secure. But and then maybe I'll move into the applications. But yeah, so until next time,